Hello, and welcome to week 13 of HOL 6700. Rebecca, Jen, and I are excited to share our R4 assignment on gender differences, with our focal point being pregnancy and parenthood in corporate America. Since the 1960s, women have increased their presence in the workforce by over 20% and have outpaced men in attainment of higher education since the mid-1990s. Nearly 75 million women work in the United States, comprising 47% of the nation's workforce. Although women represent nearly half of the U.S. labor force, they remain underrepresented at all levels of corporate America, from entry to executive. By the time you get to the C-suite, only 1 in 5 executives is a woman. A range of organizations have sought to understand gender differences in the workplace and the barriers that women face. One such organization has a household name, Google. Over 10 years ago, Google realized it had a problem endemic to many companies in Silicon Valley and the technology industry. They were not hiring or retaining women at acceptable rates. Through data analytics, the company worked to understand at what points they were losing women. A common finding between Google and other research initiatives is that pregnancy and parenthood are a major factor in the participation and progression of women in the workplace. The Bureau of Labor Statistics report on employment characteristics of families found that in 2017, 33.6 million families, or 41% of all families, had children under the age of 18. While 92.8% of fathers with children under 18 participated in the workforce, the numbers are not nearly as high for women. 65.1% of mothers with children under the age of 6 worked. Once the youngest child was between 6 and 17 years old, mothers' workforce participation rate went up to 75.7%. These participation rates are much higher than they used to be in 1975, when only 47.4% of mothers with children under the age of 18 worked. Over 40% of working women decide to leave their careers, or off-ramp, for a time, and their careers can take a big hit as a result. Only 74% of professional women will rejoin the workforce in any capacity, and only 40% will return in full-time jobs. Kunitz, as cited by Beelman and Scheifert, found that the probability of progressing on the career ladder is reduced through children for women, but not for men. A number of reasons may account for why women are less likely to stay in the workforce, and why they face career penalties, including societal pressures and norms. The U.S. has a masculine gender role orientation, which means an emphasis is placed on distinct gender roles that are steeped in traditional ideals for men and women. Although the nation has made progress in some aspects of gender equality, domestic duties still largely fall on the women. Even in 2017, 54% of women do all or most of the household work, compared to 22% of men. This gap grows when couples have children. Over the last 40 years, fathers have contributed more to domestic work. However, the gain has been offset by escalating pressures for intensive parenting. The pressures of domestic duties and parenting can have a wide-reaching impact on women in their careers. Women who do the majority of these duties are also less likely to want to be a top-level executive than those who split them equally with their partner. In fact, they may decide to drop out of the workforce altogether. A 2007 study of well-educated professional women that decided to leave work found that 60% cited their husband's lack of participation in childcare and other domestic tasks as a critical factor for leaving the workforce. People generally assume that when a couple announces that they are expecting, the man will continue to work and the woman's work status may be questioned since childcare is her responsibility. For most of the 19th and 20th centuries, the dominant familial image was one in which married women were viewed as caretakers of the home and family, and married men were responsible for securing the family's financial well-being. When it comes to working mothers, public opinion has improved over time. A 2008 survey concluded that 70% of Americans believe that working mothers can establish just as warm and secure a relationship with her children as stay-at-home moms. That is up from 49% in 1977. At the same time, another Pew Research survey found that 60% of respondents still think that children are better off when a parent stays home to focus on the family. Working mothers endure pressure from society and sometimes self-doubt as they choose to say yes to both parenthood and their careers. Pregnant women and mothers face a number of biases and stigmas at work, including that they are less competent and capable and more irrational than their non-pregnant peers. These stigmas can lead to discrimination, including being denied opportunities, losing out on promotions, being forced to take leave, and being fired. As pregnant women become mothers, they face similarly detrimental biases that they are more committed to their families than they are to their careers. This maternal bias results in working mothers being held to a higher standard and receiving less leadership opportunities. How working mothers and fathers choose to balance their jobs and parenthood is greatly influenced by the policies and systems set in place by their workplace and the country at large. Many working parents lack access to even the most basic workplace supports, such as job-protected paid parental leave, earned sick days, or quality and affordable childcare. Beyond the basic support, only 6% of workers have access to flexible workplace benefits. The United States is the only advanced economy without federal paid leave law. As a result, only 13% of workers have access to family paid leave. Most industrialized countries offer mothers and fathers paid leave following the birth of their child. Currently, the only U.S. national labor policy that offers leave for family caregiving is the Family and Medical Leave Act, which provides eligible employees up to 12 weeks of job-protected unpaid leave. Fewer than 2/3 of companies offer more than is required by law for maternity leave. In addition to navigating leave, covering the cost of childcare is a daunting prospect for many working parents. In 2016, the cost of high-quality center-based care in the United States for infants was nearly $16,200 per year. The support working parents receive from corporate America is also very limited. Only 40% of companies provide emergency child care, and less than 20% offer subsidized or on-site child care to their employees. According to the Leanin.org and McKinsey study mentioned earlier, 2 of the 3 worst pipelines for women are in the technology, hardware and software industry and the telecom and information technology services industry. Google, like many other companies in Silicon Valley, has talent pipelines that mirror the Leanin.org and McKinsey's findings. They have long since realized that they do not employ the same number of women as they do men. The company put deliberate focus on recruiting, hiring, and retaining more women and has been able to do so in part because of their use of data analytics. Google's People Operations, also known as POPs, department gathered and examined data about when they were missing out on or losing women in the talent pipeline. They found 3 main barriers: the interview process, promotions, and pregnancy. More specifically, they found that postpartum women were twice as likely to leave as other employees. Google has worked to lower those barriers through different initiatives and policy changes, which has helped them make progress. Google's most recent diversity annual report shows it has increased women hires in technology positions from 20.8% in 2014 to 24.5% in 2018. The company's workforce is 30.9% female, which is up 1% since 2014. Further, women hold 25.5% of Google's leadership positions, up 5% since 2014. While Google's challenge with hiring and promotions may be correlated with their narrower talent pipeline, the barrier related to pregnancy and parenthood is a larger issue that the United States faces as a society. Once Google's POPs department collected data on when they were losing women, they realized that new mothers were leaving at twice the rate of other employees. At that point, their maternity leave was at the industry standard. In 2007, Google adjusted their policy so that new mothers would get 5 months off with full pay and benefits. Additionally, they had the freedom to use the time whenever best suits them, including before birth or returning part-time after birth. Google also started offering 7 weeks of new parent leave to all workers around the world, a benefit that had previously been offered only to California employees. As a result of their new policy, Google's attrition rate for new mothers decreased by 50% and leveled out to the average rate of the rest of the firm. Google is a family-friendly company and wants mothers and fathers to stay. Pregnancy and becoming a new parent are often the happiest and sometimes the most stressful times of a person's life. The prospect of balancing or integrating work and life is daunting, particularly for women. organizations, and society more generally would benefit from creating policies and programs that support women and reduce the systematic barriers they face in career progression. Through this project, our team has developed 3 recommendations for society that we think could help support this change.